All right. What's going on, chat? Hope everyone's doing well. I got the AC going. Hopefully it's not too loud as usual. Or it seems like it's not too loud, but... What is going on, chat? How's everybody doing? Appreciate everyone tuning in early here. What do you call it? We got some fun stuff to do on the channel today. We, first off, it's raining pretty bad, so, but it looks like my bitrate is, fine and all that, so I don't think that's going to be the issue, but, we'll see. If we get a little frame droppage, that's probably the reason, but I think we're all good for now, so bitrate's nice and good. So we got a couple things to do today, too, really, main ones. First off, we're going to take a look, here's a little sneak peek, at our haul from the Tabletop Strategist. But as well, I put a poll out, because we flirted with the idea on the last stream about possibly doing a tabletop role-playing game, use a system, and do a maybe short series, and look at the journey of like a U.S. soldier who maybe gets separated, or goes off on a mission, and has to try and go behind enemy lines. So, we're going to build a Savage Worlds character for our new solo series that I'm going to work on in the background during the week when Rev is working and all that, and we can't film battle reports. But, so that'll be exciting. We put a poll out, so we'll take a look at the poll and see how people voted, and then I think I know what the answer is, but what do you call it? The idea is we'll do like little mini campaigns, if you will, where it's going to be maybe 5 or 6 sessions, depending, right? Starting off, one way or another, and then ending up in a big finale or something. But we'll see. It might go longer, but I'd like to also cover different factions. So like a lone Japanese soldier, somebody mentioned in Invasion America, because apparently if you read into the lore, there was like a lone ghost attack warrior who was went off and was like doing missions successfully in the Americas. So I think there's a lot of cool potential for it to kind of. Normally we look at the battles and the in larger scale with the units and all that, but it'd be cool to go down in the micro level and see how a single person is doing in Konflikt 47 in their journey. So I think it'll be cool. It'll be interesting. It's been a little while, but I did a refresher on Mythic GM Emulator, which is what we're going to be using to kind of replace a game master, if you will. And then we also I've refreshed myself up on Savage Worlds. I did pick up one of the Savage World supplements from the old version of the game, which is for World War II, or the Weird War II. So they literally have like Shrek Wolf in, not literally, but essentially, stuff like that. So it's very easy to adapt. And I have the science fiction companion for Savage Worlds, so that'll be for like Tesla cannons and all that jazz. So it'll be a mismatch. The main thing is I'm not going to try and bog down the videos too much with like bookkeeping and nonsense. I want to keep it, I want them to be like maybe 15, 20, or maybe like 20, 25 minutes long, and kind of have like a lot of cool shots and kind of just focus more on like the narrative and stuff, as opposed to being like, okay, well, this mechanic, you got to do this and you got to do that. Because not a lot of people, I think, even play Savage World, so I don't want to be like, oh, well, I don't know this game, for instance, But anyways, that's the idea. And so we'll be doing that later on, because first, we got a package today. I actually have something else coming. I have my new Elegoo Mars 5, which is coming. So what I did is I went downstairs. I have a little grow tent that you can get off Amazon. That's where I do my 3D printing in, because the fumes are contained. And then I have a fan that actually sucks the fumes out, blows it outside, just to be as safe as possible with the resin printers. So I took out the old Mars 3 I had, emptied the resin vat, because it kept failing, or power shutting off, whatever the issue was. Put the resin in a container, cleaned it up, made sure there wasn't a bunch of like uncured resin in there, and took it out of the tent, and then cleaned the tent out, because it's in my basement, so there was like freaking spider cobwebs in there and like all sorts of stuff. So I got it nice and clean in there for the new 3D printer. So, but what do you call it? That is coming. But something else we got today is this. Let's take a look. First off, let me adjust the camera. You guys should actually see I did more work on the terrain. Check it out. What do you think? We dry brushed them. All I did was add rust to the metal areas and like leached out rust. I'm still gonna do some sort of a wash probably on the buildings and whatnot, but then we flocked the kind of did static grass application to the rest of the basing. So I need to it's eventually going to have essentially some other, not static grass, but flocking in there, as well as some other stuff. So but I think these are nice. So now we got a nice set of like 4 smaller ruined buildings. I made these out of styrofoam that came in the packaging for my display case for my miniatures. And we got 2 larger ones. So nice little terrain set just to kind of mix things up. And I don't have a lot of base terrain. All my terrain is essentially buildings 3D printed that we put on the mat. So it's nice to have like a based terrain piece. But other than that, move this mic a little bit, I'll show you what we got. So shout out to the Tabletop Strategist. I do have a link in the description for you guys if you want. They were nice enough to support the last video and sponsor it, so we were able to pick up some stuff from them, and I went a little above and beyond and got some more stuff for myself. But I forgot when we ordered it. Maybe it was Friday, I think, or something. So it was very fast shipping, and the prices are great. So we got the British Armored Infantry section right here, which is the power armor wearing British troops. They're going to be like damage value 6 when veteran, and they're equipped with LMGs, if I'm not wrong. So these guys, not only do I kind of like the older metal miniatures, like the the U.S. heavy infantry, but because I know they have the new Galahad guys. But I thought they looked pretty cool, and I personally like the power armor wearing infantry in Konflikt, even for the allies, because they're not necessarily good. They're not like stall trooping, but I love the idea of like some American or British dude in like a power armor suit. You know what I mean? So we got 8 of these boys from the old first edition of Konflikt. Then we got the new automated infantry platoon box. So I think we got this for $70, which is crazy, because the pricing is fantastic on the Tabletop Strategist. But we got 10 Mark 1 infantry, 2 Mark 2 infantry, and 1 automated director, the Mark 2 director. So this is going to be my start to the British Commonwealth armies. Because Rev does have a British Commonwealth army you've seen on the channel. It's mostly 3D printed robots, though, so I wanted to get the new plastic robots. He does have, like, Bren carriers, and he's got the real Merlin and stuff. So, but I wanted to expand and get, like, a legit warlord, what do you call it, British army. Plus, I kind of was like, oh, man, these guys actually seem kind of cool, because I play the Axis, I play the Americans, Rev plays the Japanese, the Soviets, and the Brits, as well as the Axis and the Americans. He has all 5 armies. But the only other army I've ever played in Konflikt was the Commonwealth against the Soviets, and I was like, okay, this is a different army altogether than what I'm using. So I think it's interesting enough. I was like, you know what? Let me get some Commonwealth. And something to think about, too, is like, I don't know, something to kind of make them somewhat stand out a little bit from Revs, but still be cohesive. I need to figure that out. So the other thing I got, by the way, so that's the Konflikt stuff, which this right here, along with a Merlin, by the way, is literally, if I'm not wrong, an entire 1,500 points of British Commonwealth. I think it's 9 order dice, but 2 5-man Mark 1s, a 2-man Mark 2 squad. You can do an 8-man or 2 4-mans of the armored infantry. And then I have B for Birdie, which I got recently. We have a Merlin, and I have some British guys wearing nuns' clothes, which will be my platoon commanders. So that's like easy. I have a whole army already. I just got to put this stuff together. So the Terminator theme intensifies. Yeah, hell yeah, exactly. I'm excited. I got to figure out how I'm going to paint them and all that. And the last thing I got, if you guys know anything about me, my favorite like military leader. And one of my favorite stories is with Hannibal and Carthage and the Carthaginians trying to take down Rome and making it like almost all the way to the gates of Rome on the back of an elephant. So I've been wanting to try out Victrix minis, and this was $50-something on Amazon. I think it was $56. I want to say it was like $40-something from Victrix or something. I don't remember. I got this for $38 from Tabletop Strategist, and it comes with 62 Carthaginians. So, and these are 28 mil. So I can really just use these for all sorts of games. But it comes with Hannibal's veterans, so I think 24 of those, 24 Libyan spearmen, I think, if I'm not wrong, and then you get like 14 Libyan skirmishers, the javelin throwers. So what do you call it? I'm excited to see what these look like. So I think we're going to take a look at some of the sprues and stuff. We'll crack some of these open. But just from first appearance, these look like they're going to be really easy to put together, and they look really good quality. So, because Victrix, I think, has done, if I'm not wrong, I think they've done like some stuff in the past with Warlord as well. But anyways, I'm excited for this because the Carthaginians are just badass. I think I've seen that brand for King Arthur style knights. Yeah, no, Victrix makes a ton of historical miniatures. So everything from like Napoleonic times is the most recent, or I think you might be able to find more recent stuff like World War One, but I could be, or they do have World War Two, but it's the wrong scale for what we normally play. But so they have like Napoleonic dudes all the way down to like some of the earliest civilizations. So one of the main reasons I got this was for Hail Caesar, because Rev has a full army of Gauls and a full army of Romans that he wants to put together, and then he got the rule book for Hail Caesar. He's like, we should try this because it's like a big. There's not even points in Hail Caesar. It's just like, what was the battle that happened that day or something, you know? So that's like a real. That's. I'm sure there's more historical war games in the fact of like how like historically accurate, but I think Hail Caesar will be like the most like historical war game we've ever played. So that'll be for the future, but no matter what, even for tackling the apocalypse or conquering the apocalypse, I can use these guys for all sorts of stuff. Like if I want to do the Carthaginians versus Chaos Space Marines in one-page rules. That's the sort of, first off, that's the videos that people love, like the Universes Collide or something. I did that one video, and I'm trying to think of like what's some cool mix-ups or matchups, and what about a giant battlefield of Carthaginians with like war elephants and cavalry on horseback with spears versus like freaking Space Marines or something cool like that. You know what I mean? That's the great thing about one-page rules, though, is all that stuff works together. So. Show the Roman dogs the might of Carthage? Hell yeah. I gotta see if I can find it, but I wrote a song. It's the most cringiest thing, but I used to embarrass myself on the internet all the time, do my live guitar streams on Twitch, and we had a song that I wrote describing Hannibal, and it was like drop D tuning. It actually was a pretty sick riff. I gotta see if I can find the riff. But, and then I was not expecting this. Okay, this is on sale for like $10. I was actually tempted to pick one of these up because I have the ruined buildings from the Konflikt set. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I can. But I was like, whatever. They ended up throwing this in for free. So shout out to them. Because I think Warlord is selling these for like $30 or something like that. And I'm assuming Tabletop Strategist is probably like, get these things the hell out of here or something. That's a little bit, because you only get like 2 little things. But for $9, that's honestly not bad. If you're looking to get more runes, they have them at like 60% off or something, or 70, probably just to move them. But anyway, shout out to the Tabletop Strategist, man. We got these pretty quick, and I got a great deal on them. So shout out again. They sponsored the video, and you know, we're a small channel here and whatnot, but I think they're happy. I think the video did well, and if you guys want to support the channel, you can pick up some miniatures in the US without any additional cost. So, and maybe they'll sponsor some more videos in the future so we can make some cool battle reports. But anyways, enough shilling. I just wanted to though show some support because they were awesome. We should crack open the boxes though and just take a look at what we got and just see what we got. We'll probably build these on stream at some point. I do want to make the tabletop character, or the Savage Worlds character today, because I actually plan on start filming that this week. Because I started rereading all the rules for Savage Worlds and all these games, and now I'm like, okay, now I kind of want to do, what I do is I wait till it gets dark, there's no light, I set up like a black tablecloth, and I'll set up like my board, you know how we've played on the table here? So I'll set it up here where I have like a thing I can lay down with like some miniatures and trees, and then I'll get like all my books and everything, maybe get some tea or make a little cocktail, and then I'll sit down for like 2-3 hours and like play a solo TTRPG session. It's honestly a lot of fun. It's been a while since I've done it, but now I have a reason to actually do it, which is to make some videos. Because it's kind of hard to be like, man, I should be editing a video, but instead I'm going to play Savage Worlds for 3 hours. Yeah, and I looked around. I did a ton of research before we ripped these boxes open. I did a ton of research, and I was looking at... I did look at Action Cthulhu, which is an entirely separate game system from Modiphius. It's a 2D20 system, which was interesting. I did look at Delta Green. Honestly, if Delta Green was probably like $20-$30, we'd probably be playing that. But it's $50 because even for the PDF, because you need to buy a handler's rule book and then you need to buy the player's rule book, which I'm not really a fan of that personally. But in the future, we might try it. And what else did I look at? I think there was a couple other like World War II systems I looked at that actually led me to Weird Wars 2. Which is an entirely, I think, different game system that Pinnacle Entertainment made, which is the company that makes Savage Worlds. But I found out they adapted that Weird War 2 game to Savage Worlds. It's the old edition of Savage Worlds, so I actually need to do like conversion for some of the abilities and stats because they changed how the game works in the newer version of Suede or Savage Worlds, which is Suede now. But that being said, I picked up. It has all of the stats for every weapon in World War II that we would expect. So it's at least it's easy for me, as well as some tools to come up with missions, and just it has great information for like rank and file of U.S. military in World War II, so I can be a little bit more accurate with how I like play the game. You know what I mean? But so I'm just pretty much going to. I honestly, I was like, you know what? I'm most familiar with Savage Worlds, and it's known as a system that is just it can work in any setting universally. You know what I mean? The game's pretty much made to be like open-ended in that it's not like, well, it's a fantasy game or this or that. So honestly, Savage Worlds I think is a great fit. I just need to make the videos in a way that it's not like you guys need to learn Savage Worlds for the first time to watch it. I'm going to make sure the video kind of flows in a way where it's like you're following the story and the journey. You're going to get information about the mechanics and the roles that we're doing, but it's not going to be all about that. You know what I mean? So I just got to figure out how to do that editing-wise and how I want to go about it, but I'm excited for it. So later we are going to make a Savage Worlds character. What's going on, Klovak? How's it going, dude? All right, so we got the ruined buildings. I'm going to save these because you guys probably know what they look like already if you've gotten any sort of Konflikt starter kits or whatever, or the main kit. Let's crack open the British Armored Infantry box up and see what these look like. These are metal, so they're going to be probably just in like 3 or 4 pieces. It's going to be like the heads, the 2 arms, and then the body and legs. Kind of just like the Americans that we put together. Crack this open. I'm kind of a sucker for keeping the boxes, but I really shouldn't. Like, what's the reason for me to keep these boxes other than they look cool? But I can't get myself to throw away the Konflikt boxes. I started chucking away my Warhammer boxes, though. Except for the couple cool ones that I actually like. But does anyone else do that? Do you guys keep your boxes that your miniatures come in? I don't know why. I don't like throwing away, like, this box. It's a nice box. I kind of just like having the box, you know, and having, like, the... I should be cutting the spare bits off the sprues, putting it in a little bag. But instead I keep them on the sprue in the box, wasting space, but they look nice, you know what I mean? You keep some. A 9-year-old German girl who happens to be a necromancer? No, 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 this isn't a pirate episode, okay? The, actually, I have no decision in what it's going to be other than a U.S. soldier. The YouTube voted, and I think we got, like, 70 votes or something, so... If you guys voted, you probably know what it is, but we'll see. We'll take a look. I'm not going to spoil it. And that'll determine who our character will be. You keep some boxes for storing some sprues or packaging for the 3D printed stuff? Yeah, yeah. Oh, this is nice. Larger plastic packaging, it looks like. I've never seen a plastic package that size, but this is also the older style. Okay, so they're on the regular small bases. Yep, this is what I expected. Like 3 or 4 pieces. They're going to be super easy to build and put together. All that jazz. It looked great too. I did like the look of the... Because I just did the Americans. And the Americans aren't bad, but these guys I kind of like the look of a little bit better. And I think, where do they... The other arm is back there. They have machine guns. You can see some of the machine guns are bent to shit, as usual. Yeah, LMGs, I think they are. They're the ones with the... Is it like a drum? Yeah, they have like a drum on the top. I don't know. Is it like a... Are they Brens or something? Some sort of machine gun. I'm sure somebody that plays the Brits would know probably what it is. I kept boxing until I had too many, and then I had to go back and cut out the bits, put them in drawers. Yeah. You've got a hell of a lot more official miniatures from games than me. You have, like, actual Warhammer boxes and stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's take a look. We'll pop it open. Metal Galahad infantry looks so bulky, but the res ones on the hand look really slim. Yeah, but I mean, these guys kind of are bulky, right? And it's kind of like an older armor design, so it makes sense. I don't mind that. I do like the Galahad guys. The Galahad guys look slick. They almost look like more like airborne armored infantry or something, you know what I mean? And these guys are like more just specialized basic army or something. These guys do look good. I think they look good, that is. It almost looks like some sort of medieval armor or something, honestly. Hydraulics. Some sort of like power packs off the back with like a cooler generator or something. Oh yeah, I'm getting my new 3D printer today though, so I'm excited. I'll do like a test print with some stalkers. Then I gotta print some... I gotta print Rev 1 thing. I gotta slip it in on a print somewhere, but I gotta print the Turks. I'm like in the middle of like, you know, building a custom army, and like I'm like filming some videos for it, and then the 3D printer stopped working. I was like, alright, well that's not good. Yo, Cosmic, what's up, dude? Looks like a paladin? Yeah, they look really cool. I think they look like they almost look like knights or something. I wish one of the guys had a sword, like a medieval sword, like a great sword or like a lawn sword. I feel like that's a missed opportunity, dude. Like, where's some of the British sort of like medieval inspiration for the weirdness, you know? Maybe that's something I should do. I should put a big ass sword in one of their hands. Like, that guy looks like you can actually cut and put a sword in his hand. Maybe give one of them like a shield. I'll take a shield from like the Carthaginian or something. Oh no, I'll need to 3D print a shield that has the right shape for like a British looking thing. And put like a British like clan flag on there or something. I should have a Space Marine sword that maybe isn't too ridiculous. If not, I need to figure out, because I don't really have... Who would have swords? I have Americans and Germans. They don't really use swords in bolt action, so I need to... I'm sure I have something I could do. But I might need to 3D print something, because I kind of want it to look like, you know, like a knight's lawn sword or something. A Zweihander. Yeah, like a claymore or something. Well, I got my new 3D printer coming today, so it's we'll add it to the list. That was my plan for the Brits all lawn knights. Yeah, dude, seriously, like British knights. You could actually probably do Victrix minis and then use your leftover conflict bits and add British weapons to dudes. That would actually be sick. In fact, I might need to make some knights. These guys might be in the knights, you know what I mean? Just like cool little... Or I just print knights helmets for these guys. That's what I should do. I should print knights helmets for them. All my K-47 right now is leftover bits. Yep. The Space Marine sword is what I use for my kits, like Stahl or Paragons. Yeah, but you gotta... part of me, you gotta be careful, right? Because it's like, I don't want too much Imperium or like high fantasy looking stuff. So, but some of the stuff works from Warhammer. But like a bolt gun, for instance, I tried using and I was like, it just doesn't look right. It doesn't look like conflict-y. Doesn't mean you can't use it. It's just me being picky. So what do we got here? We got some larger bases for the Mark IIs. Smaller bases for the Mark Is. We have an automated director sprue. Let's take a look. These look they almost look like a harder plastic or like a different plastic. I know we tried drilling out Birdie's barrel and we couldn't. These almost seem like a slightly different, or this one seems slightly different plastic. It is actually. It's interesting. They're like different plastics. Is this isn't resin, right? No, because you can't. This is definitely a plastic sprue. It's just like a different color looking plastic. I wonder if that's what it is. I wonder if the heroes are like the plastic's a little harder and you can't drill the barrel. But we tried this one. We tried Birdie. And I could not get that barrel to start drilling. We just got like a dimple after like 5 minutes. But we got a heavy Tesla. Legs and whatnot. This one is a little bit more bits, but I don't mind it. It's not bad. But compared to Birdie was in like 3 or 4 pieces. So I guess this does maybe give you a little bit more. No, it looks like the legs are slotted, but maybe you can position them in certain ways. I guess you could always clip it. I was just thinking if there's any like interesting poses. Ah, the dark blue is the Talareri? Is that what it is? I know they work with, they do usually, though, or is it Victrix? Because I know a Talareri, or whatever it's called, does vehicles for Warlord, and I think Victrix does some stuff for their infantry, or something. I read an article, they were talking about it. Yeah, it's definitely a different manufacturer or something. Drill bits do wear out. Yeah, but it's just, if you take Warhammer plastic, if you take a Warhammer Space Marine, you try drill barrel bit out, compared to this plastic, there was just, even taking a X-Acto blade, this was a much harder plastic than the Warhammer plastic. I was just noting it. Shut up, Rev. This time he can fight back in chat. He was saying he was watching last year, and Rev's working with the AI. Down with Rev. And he just had to listen to it the whole time. This is the Mark II infantries. So you get... Oh, you get one... Or you get 2 helmets you can pick from. Or 4 helmets, I guess, total. But you have options for either. That's nice. So, machine gun, if I'm not wrong. Heavy autocannon. And then Tesla cannon right there. M17, I believe it's called. Or is it the M21? I always forget which one's the lighter pen. Okay, very nice. Honestly, these guys don't look that bad to put together. I'm going to be honest with you. They look pretty simple. And then we got Mark 1s. Which the Mark 1s have the bayonet. On their LMGs, and then these must be the HMGs then, which they are. I don't know, what do you guys think? 5 dudes with HMGs not getting a -1 to hit, but getting a -1 to shoot overall, so I guess they're just hitting on 4s, right? Or no. I guess you'll still be hitting on 5s, right? But you can move. I don't know. I gotta look into the rules. I don't know all the British stuff. But either way, 5 HMGs. Or you can have the LMGs, but you get, what, tough fighters and +1 pen in close quarters combat? Oh, they're MMGs. My bad. Yeah, MMGs. The HMGs are pretty expensive because I was putting a list together. I was just thinking how to assemble them or put them. I wonder, can I magnetize these? There's little tiny ball socket joints. So, I don't know. Maybe if I use nickel strips and then I put... Nah, the arms are too small. Unfortunately, I don't think you can magnetize these. Unless they give you additional arms. If they do give you extra arms, but it doesn't look like it. Shucks. I was hoping to magnetize it, but I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe. But doesn't look like it. Especially if the plastic won't drill like that. This plastic seems different. I bet you, I know what it was. I bet you the Birdie was the dark plastic, and I bet you this dark plastic doesn't drill really good. But I bet you this one will drill okay. But I'm not certain. With the Mark II, you can cancel it out. Yeah, I know that. I only have one Mark II squad, though, so... I don't know how I'm gonna build them. I'll have to see. You know me, I love HMGs. It's one of my favorite weapons in Konflikt. Give me a walker with HMGs in the US and I'm totally happy. Like 24 HMG shots? Sheesh. I don't know how many would this would be. I'm not going to count it, but... I always forget. What is it? 4 shots? An HMG is 4 shots? And then what else? We got the automated Mark II director. The advanced research into automated systems has yielded results at an entirely unexpected rate, such that the production is hardly able to keep pace with the new designs coming out of Bletchley Park. In less than a year from the first deployment of Mark I automated infantry in Belgium, entirely automated platoons are now increasingly independent, organized, and commanded by automated platoon commanders. The automated directors are based on the Mark II design with improved computational and radio systems, enabling to distribute orders to other automated units over a wider radius. The advantages of fully automated platoons are numerous. The avoidance of British human casualties and the immunity to an ever more delirious? Is that how you say delirious? With a, I guess it is. Is the T silent? Delirious psychological effects on the battlefield amongst them. I haven't spelled delirious in forever. Is that how you spell delirious? With a T? No. Is it? Deleterious? Oh, deleterious. Deleterious. I swear to God, every time we read one of these, I have to look up some word because these smug English people and their proper use of the English language. I'm an American. I don't know what the hell deleterious is. It actually means causing harm or damage. Divorce is assumed to have deleterious effects on children. All right, well, thanks for that, Google. Birdie isn't plastic, not resin? Yeah, this isn't resin either. This is plastic, but it's clearly not the same plastic as this. Either a different type of plastic or is made somewhere else. That's what I'm saying. Deleterious. Well, there you go. I'm like, that's not how delirious is spelled, right? Am I that stupid? But no. So we got the Mark II infantry. It shows 3, but there's only 2 on there, right? Oh, the normal sprue has 4. Okay, right? Or the normal box, I should say. They come in 2 mans now. And the Mark I's. Parts marked in red can be used for alternate pose shown later in this book. Oh, I see. Instead of holding it in their hands, it's like one-handed. Alright, well, it doesn't look like we can magnetize it, unfortunately, but whatever. They're pretty cheap, honestly, the Mark I's. And I don't need that many, but... Alright. I'm American now, speak American. Hell yeah, brother, that's right! USA. Deleterious? What are you, a communist? Japanese spy, speaking Japanese. Alright, very nice. So we got our Mark I's, Mark II, the directors, automated infantry section, and we got Birdie. I have a British platoon commander in a nun suit, which is going to be great, and a dude like smoking a pipe, I think. And Rev has a Merlin. That right there is literally, because I do 2 squads of 4-mans, I think, and veteran with tough fighters and stubborn or something you give them. Then 2 Mark I's with MMGs and close quarters combat bayonets. A 2-man Mark II squad with a heavy autocannon and a Tesla cannon. The Mark II director with a Tesla cannon. And then a Merlin, which is like 400 points or something crazy, or 3 something. That's literally 1,500 points. That's a full army. So, that being said, I want British infantry. I want my own Cerebus squad. I haven't figured out what. I might just get the official Warlord minis, because I do like the dogs. The dogs are sweet. You know what I mean? But, so I need to figure that out, because, what do you call it? I'm going to make sure this army works with Rev's army. It's not too crazy paint-wise. You know, it could just be that, you know, they have different units for different areas, because if you look at Birdie, some of his legs are green, some are tan, they have different color schemes for their bots. And it's, one's a little lighter green and one's a little lighter brown. They still work together, you know what I mean? But, I do want to find some other units to add to it, because I personally like having infantry in Conflict. I don't like having... early on, I played a ton of games where it was like 2 Firefly squads, 2 Paragon squads, a couple walkers and a tank, and it was like 9 units. It was like all special advance infantry and stuff. And that's like kind of like the... almost like a meta way, I guess you could say, or like that's one way you could play Conflict. But I also kind of like the more combined arms idea of they're still going to be using basic infantry for a lot of stuff. You still need boots on the ground to do like clear trench lines, and so you'll have the Fireflies doing the important stuff like taking out machine gun nests and silencing guns, but you still need guys on the ground like doing classic infantry work. So Birdie might be Warlord Resin. No, I think it was in a sprue. We cut it off and we put it together. It was plastic. Unless that sprue counts as resin. But I've never seen a resin sprue like that. The resin pieces always are, I think, made on molds, but then they're cut off or something. I don't know. I've never seen resin on a sprue, but maybe it is resin. But I bet you we could find it out if we look it up. Last but not least, let's take a look at the Carthaginians. These guys I'm stoked for. These guys are sick. Nothing can stop me. Oh, we need some tunes. And we'll take a look at the Discord here in a sec, Clovic. Also, Dex, what's going on? Birdie is plastic? Yeah, that's what I thought. I think it's just a different type of plastic. Maybe they had someone else do it. The quality's great. It's just I can't drill the barrel, so I that's all I mentioned. Alright. Do you want Billy Bob that eats glue to use a jetpack? No, you give him a rifle and have him dig a foxhole. Yeah, exactly. I added the foxhole part, but you're absolutely on point. And that is why we're going to find out who we're going to be playing in Conflicts. And I think you're not going to be surprised that... Well, we'll have to see. I haven't checked it since last night, but last I checked, Basic Infantryman was in the lead. Especially being that I think people love the idea of that it's like a regular dude in the Conflict universe and see what happens to him, you know what I mean? I kind of don't want to take these out because I don't think I'm going to be able to get it back in the bag, so let's just take a look. Yo, what's going on, Steven? How you doing? So these are the Victrix Carthaginian Warriors of Carthage. I'm just trying to see what the quality... So I do see a mold line, but it's not terrible. It is a little bit more substantial of a mold line than Warlord. I would say this is more like a GW mold line, which in reality isn't the worst thing. But okay, so that's something to note. That being said, the miniatures are all like literally going to be like 4 pieces, which isn't the worst thing in the world to deal with if there's a little bit of mold lines. You got like a shield arm, you got a weapon arm, and you got a helmet. Because these guys are rank and file, like put them either on square basing and movement trays, stuff like that, you know what I mean? I'm definitely going to square base them for sure. Because Rev, we play a square base game, or a game that you can use square bases, like Turnip, and he's like, you're not using square bases finally? I don't think we will ever have a rifle platoon. Yeah, that's okay. Maybe they might do something in the future. We don't need platoons for every single thing in Conflict. But I will say, I was actually thinking about making a video, but I don't know. Because I would have to change the idea. But I was like thinking about it more and more. The platoons for Conflict are really great. They add so much flavor. And you could just do like, I was talking to... Gannon on our Discord, who I think is Valor Games, yeah, and he has an Italian army, but there's like no Italian rules, there's nothing. It's just like, okay, you're either working for the Allies or you're working for the Axis, so you don't really have like anything standoutish, right? And before that, the Italians did have like their own, they did work for both sides, but they had their own platoons you could do, Italian platoons. So the platoons have a lot of like opportunity to like add flavor to the game and also keep it interesting without like really having to do too much, like create an entirely new faction and stuff. So I really like the platoons in Conflict, and I want to see more of them. We don't necessarily need one for every single thing. I get it, but like I want to see like they should probably just do like a Turkish platoon for the Axis, or like who else worked with the Axis, like maybe the Finnish platoon or something, or like like Bulgarian or Hungarian, right, or something like that. You get the idea, but. So I think that's interesting. There's a lot of room for them to do cool stuff. So we need rifle platoons. We can add one per assault platoon. So what? That way you could have like 4 basic infantry squads in the platoon, and not have to like spend so much on advanced infantry. You know. Oh, was it you, Dex? Oh, okay, it was you. Gotcha. My bad. You have the V1 Italians. Yeah, that was you. Okay, I got you mixed up with Gannon. My bad. Yeah, so Dex knows what... Dex was the one with the Italians. So, I think, like, I'm just trying to think. Like, they could do a Turkish platoon for the Axis. They could do, you know, some sort of platoon for the Allies with, like, Canadians... New Zealanders for the Commonwealth, you know what I mean? So introductory type of content, or talking about basic stuff like platoon and to make them better sounds great. Yeah. I didn't know if there was platoons in the first edition of K47. So I thought that maybe was a new thing. I was going to say, but I think you could just do a video. I might do it, but I have so many ideas, like, that actually, this would probably be better off for someone else, but, like, how good the new platoons are, even though some of them are very strong, like the Toten Corps 1 and whatnot, how good that is for the game in terms of what they can do in the future. That sounds like a great Mordian video, honestly. So, or a Klovak video or somebody. I'll paint the German troops just for the werewolves and zombies. Yeah, well, I have my bolt action stuff, so it works great. We actually got a whole box of German Winter Air Infantry, the starter set, which I got because it has a Panzer in it. It's got a bunch of infantry we can use. So, all right. Very cool. So we got our British... automated platoon, armored infantry. I might pick up a box of, like, I think what I want to pair with this is commandos, British commandos, like the D-Day commandos with their cool red berets. So I think that's something I'm going to get in the future if I, maybe for me the tabletop strategist, or I'll just use like my medal points and just, if it's on sale from Warlord or something. But, and maybe like a vehicle or two in the future. But Rev did print me Kaishu Niku Mud Skipper, which is, I love the Mud Skippers. And his Mud Skipper design's fantastic. I love it. So I had him print me one of those, and then he printed me 2 more Jackal proxies, or, Jackal proxies, that I can use as Jackals or Guardians or whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah, well, that's the thing. I'm already editing a George Washington kit bash and paint. I'm going to be starting a solo series. I got to edit a 1-page rules battle report, so you go on it, Klovak. You make it if you want. Hop on it. Honestly, I mean, you know what? If someone else makes it, good. The more conflict content, the better. So I love seeing there's all sorts of new or other YouTubers getting into it, which is great to see. All right. So that being said, we got all this stuff. One of the main things we're going to be doing today is essentially figuring out what sort of character we're going to be building for the start of our solo TTRPG with using Konflikt 47 as a setting. So one thing we got to do is we got to look. We need to see... I'll take a look at the Discord too in a sec. Hold on. We need to look and see what the people voted. But let's take a look while we're going to game capture. Just want to show you guys. That's actually a sick grasshopper fly, by the way. That's a fly. This is made with foam and like feathers and some sort of probably artificial wing material. And these look like maybe paper clips or something. I don't even know what he used for that, but that looks so cool. Or maybe monofilament bent and painted. But that's a fly to imitate a grasshopper for like a largemouth bass or a trout or something to eat. So how cool is that? That looks sick. Clovex, let's see. Oh, we got some bots. Very nice. Yeah, see, that's a different plastic altogether from this. They're just different. I think they're made by different manufacturers or something for Konflikt. Nice, dude. Hell yeah, look good. Looking good. Nice little display shelf, too. You're currently working on one. How much cheaper K47 is compared to 40K? And 2, 3D print install trooping. Cost, STLs, etc. Ah, nice. I'm excited to see those. Cool. Alright. So, I gotta take a look real quick. Let's see. We gotta go to the poll I made. Hold on, give me a sec. Alright. 148 votes. Oh my god, there was like 50 when I checked last night. Dude, that's sick. I love that so many people voted. Hell yeah. It says, I've been toying with the idea of taking a TTRPG system like Savage Worlds or Weird Wars 2 and doing a K47 solo series, following the journey of a U.S. soldier as they make their way through Axis territory, or something, vice versa. What I'd like to know is what type of unit type for the U.S. that I should build my TTRPG character around, a Firefly separated from his team, or a Paragon on a lone mission, etc., as this will affect their skills and abilities, aka their edges, their hindrances, the skills, and the like what dice I'm going to be using for Savage World, for how I build the character with the points that I have allocated. Let me know what kind of soldier you would like to see by using the poll as well, if you have any suggestions for other game systems or ideas. And it just talks about how I'm most familiar with Savage Worlds and Mythic GM, but in the future I'm open to, if we want to do a Japanese ghost warrior who infiltrated behind enemy lines with this new technology to teleport that they have or something, and he is the last one left in his squad, but he's so committed to the Imperial Japanese cause that he's going all the way to finish this mission. Like, we could do it with Morkborg, Delta Green, there's other game systems, So, that being said, with 148 votes, which is sick, we got U.S. Basic Rifleman main character. Second place is Fireflies. So that was 43% for the Basic Rifleman, 30% for the Firefly character, 19% for a Paragon main character, and 8% for the Heavy Infantry. So we're going to be making a Basic Rifleman main character using the Savage Worlds game system, and building our character using the not only Savage Worlds book, but the Weird War 2 adaptation for Savage Worlds, which is another supplement. So, but what do you call it? So that's what we're going to do here in a sec. What's going on, Gruesome? How's it going? I hope you're doing well. But yeah, that was so awesome that that many people voted. So, what do you call it? I'd love to see it. What do you call it? I have done solo stuff on the channel. It's unlisted because I've only done, like, I started a campaign at one point, and I don't think the views were that good, but it was also like I was busy doing other stuff, this and that, and I was like, I'm gonna do like a 20 episode solo series, and I recorded like so much of it, and then halfway through I was like, screw this. So what I've found is, for me and like TTRPGs, when I run them solo and this, that, I like having like a digestible kind of mini campaign that I can make and finish within a certain amount of time. It's gonna be like 5-6 episodes, maybe more, I don't know, we'll see, but like 20-minute long episodes, keep it bite size. And same thing for me, I like enjoying it that way, instead of trying to be like, well, I'm gonna play a solo campaign for 2 years, because in my mind I want to do it. It sounds sick, but then I'm like, after a while, I'm like, I kind of like switching things up, you know what I mean? Have been pursuing bolt action a lot, and made today a list for U.S. Airborne Infantry Company and a German garrison company for a possible D-Day scenario, destroy the guns company size scenario. Hell yeah, that's awesome. So the US has 123 figures and the Germans have 125. So what's the points on that for that size? And we're only 2 days from retirement. Exactly, that's the cool sort of stuff. That's why I wanted to do this with you guys. So I'm going to move some of this stuff over. I'm going to grab all my Savage Worlds supplements in my little TTRPG folder I have, and I'll show you guys. We'll go over some of the basic stuff, this and that, but really what we're going to do is we're going to sit down, we're going to use Savage Worlds to make the character with their rule sets, but really what I want you guys to help me decide, who is this guy, what's his name, what's his backstory, what's his like motivation, what's his hindrances, or like what's the sort of flaws that he has, because Savage Worlds uses like edges, which are like your good abilities that you have, but it also has hindrances, which are like maybe you're terrified of Shrekwolfen because of something that you saw, like your brother was killed by Shrekwolfen and you've seen, it's just gotten in your head that you're terrified of these things. So whenever you see one, it's like you get minus to all your rolls because you're freaking out the whole time. You're like, oh my god, it's a Shrekwolfen, no, you know. So we're gonna figure it out. That's where I want you guys to help me. The Germans are 1530 and the US are 2230. Ah, somewhat balanced though, because the Germans have 9 LMGs. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like your basic infantrymen in bolt action for the US, they're nothing crazy, right? So it's not like it's too overpowered if they have a couple more squads or something, because depending on how you set up the scenario, like a real D-Day one, you're probably going to lose a lot of guys trying to just get to position because of all the German machine gun positions, artillery positions, and all that, heavy weapons and all that. I would love to do a D-Day thing, or just like either like hedgerows or a beach landing, or some sort of like I don't know, something in the future. But especially for Konflikt, I want to do. There's got to be something where we can replicate like D-Day, or even if it didn't happen, we'll just say it happened, like because the Axis took over France, and at some point, you know, the Americans had to make landfall and try and do something. You know what I mean? All the airborne are veterans, and the Germans have 2 regular and 1 Osttruppen platoons. Well, look, this is one thing we've learned. Bolt action isn't about being 100% completely balanced. It's about having a fun tabletop game that allows you to reenact these cool battles that happened in World War II, but in a fun way and not like a super sweat way. You know what I mean? So if there's any game like in Warhammer, that might be a little too much points difference wise. 500 600 points, but in bolt action, I mean, you know, you can always just on the fly adjust things too, especially if you're just playing a narrative mission like that. So D-Day 2 Electric Boogaloo, hell yeah. Little Fortune Son, down down down. It is more enjoyable with a challenge for the game. Sometimes, like in the last scenario I was playing with Rev, I was like, look, do you want to bring on more Japanese at some point? Because I'm like, you know, you're losing some. And he's like, hell no. He goes, Rev is the sort of dude that wants like the hardest game possible so he can use his brain to like try and overcome it. You know what I mean? That's why he loves playing Magic the Gathering and shit on Arena, because there's a bunch of psychos on there. All right, chat. We're so real quick. Let me move this stuff. We'll grab our Savage World stuff. I do want to go refill my tea real quick because I'm chatting away and my throat's gonna get all screwed up. All right. I'll just show you guys all some of the accoutrements. Normally, I'm not a fan of games where you need like accessories. I bought the Pathfinder for Savage Worlds pack, and it came with a bunch of stuff, but you don't actually need any of this crap, by the way. But I guess real quick, before I take a break, let's go over what I got in front of me here. Dice bag. Everything, so for Savage Worlds, you need everything from a D4 up to a D12. And we'll go over the dice mechanics and all that a little later. So we got dice. I have a bunch of like markers and stuff. There's something called bennies, so we have actual poker chips. These things are sick, by the way. And essentially a benny is like almost like a little bit of a get out of free jail card. I don't know what that would be in D&D, but it'll allow you to like re-roll something or like kind of change the story a little bit in a fun way. Bennies are a really cool mechanic in Savage Worlds. And then I got templates and stuff because there is magic, there is grenades, there is artillery and whatnot, and you need some templates. And then there's different status effects, just like every other TTRPG. Speaking of status effects, we got the status cards and the main effects that they have. So there's like wounded, Whenever you're wounded in Savage Worlds, you get... Yeah, like a fate point in D&D. Exactly. That's what it's called. Whenever you're wounded in Savage Worlds, you get a -1 to, like, everything you do. So being wounded in... Like, in D&D, you have hit points. And what I always found funny was, like, you could be mortally wounded and be like, you're literally about to die, but you can still perform at your peak, which is always funny to me. And Savage Worlds, the more you get injured, just the more the world is going to suck for you in general. So it's really punishing in that regard, especially for a solo TTRPG. But it does mean, like literally a single dude could kill a dragon with an exploding die. But there's also a good chance that a dragon will absolutely demolish somebody, especially that they have exploding die. So we'll get to the exploding die later. Essentially, the exploding dice, one of my favorite mechanics in any dice rolling game, whether it be TTRPGs or tabletop war games. If you roll a die and it rolls the highest number, you get to keep rolling that die. So one of the most exciting things you can ever do as a Savage Worlds DM is when your players roll like a 4 or like a 6 on a 6, and I think Rev or somebody did it before, they've rolled like 5, 6 exploding dice in a row, and that also counts for damage rolls. So like there's crazy shit that can happen in this game. There's shaking, which you gotta like do to not you gotta overcome to like do stuff, distracted. There's just some basic stuff. But a last stand style game. Let's see how many turns you can survive endless enemies. Yeah, that's always awesome. I have to leave you guys. Gonna play Outlast Trials Invasion mode with some friends. Hey, all right, man. Have an awesome day, Clovek. Appreciate it. I saw you were streaming that. One last thing for the bolt action stuff. Germans have the 22 order dice. Americans have 25. Oh, okay. Alright, it's not that bad then. And then last but not least, what you really need for Savage World is just a basic deck of cards. Now I have a fancy deck for the essentially this is how you figure out initiative in turn order. And it's really cool. I actually really like it. So it kind of almost replicates bolt action in the randomness of who goes. It's not defined every single turn based on how quick you are or something. It's somewhat random, and it's by drawing from a deck of cards. So kind of just like by drawing a dice out of a bag. So I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. But essentially it's like the highest card to the lowest card is how you determine. And then also it goes spades. It goes backwards from alphabetical. So it's like spades, hearts, diamonds, clubs. So if you had two kings, for instance, the spades would beat it. And a joker, whenever you get a joker, shit gets wild. And then you get +2 to all your rolls, your damage rolls. Everybody gets a Benny, which I think I actually never did. Which if Rev hears this, he's probably like, what? I think if somebody gets a joker, everybody gets a Benny, which I'd never read in the book until the other day. Maybe I was doing it. In each round, you draw a card, and then you give it to the characters on the board. Spin me up. What game are you talking about? We're talking about how we're going to adapt Savage World, which is a pretty open-ended TTRPG system, and use it for Konflikt 47. We're going to do a solo Konflikt TTRPG run. So that being said, also what's going on, Project? That being said, we got Savage Worlds. This is the new version of Savage Worlds called Suede, which is, I've never played the old version, but it's Savage Worlds Adventure Edition. And it's, look, the only way I can describe it is, I learned about it from Trevor Noah, Me, Myself, and Die, who's the voice actor for Rocky Raccoon Guardians of the Galaxy, or whatever that raccoon's called. I don't ever even watch that movie, but I saw him do a solo playthrough with Savage Worlds, and I was like, oh, this is really interesting, because I was getting into D&D because of Rev, and I was like, there's got to be more out there than just Dungeons and Dragons. Because everybody, okay, we're going to do another Dungeon & Dragon campaign, but in space. But we have to adapt the game to space. Or we're going to do a D&D campaign where it's Mad Max and this and that. Because you can do that. But there is also other games that are like, you can use for those systems and stuff. So I was like, everybody just wants to play D&D. I'm going to pick another game system. I was like, this looks fun. This is completely different. It's also like, even though there is a lot of like, oh, well, you get +2 or you get minus, there is crunch. You can decide not to use that stuff. And it's a very fast game. Like, things go quick. One of the things I always hated in D&D were when somebody took 15 minutes for their turn, and it was like combat took 4 hours in D&D sometimes, or like 2 hours. When in this, I could be throwing like 30 people at my group of players, and the combat would go for like an hour and a half, and they would kill like 100 people, and like the building would explode. All this shit would be going on. It's very fast-paced, you know what I mean? Which I really like. And it's good for solo, because last thing you want to do is bookkeep the entire time. But so we got the Savage Worlds book, and this is a great thing. The Savage Worlds book, for instance, this is the idea behind the game. Oh, you want, let's say you want ranged weapons? Well, they have everything from axes, javelins, crossbows, your basic stuff, all the way up to modern day military weapons, you know, like an M60 or like miniguns. So the setting, it doesn't give you like a setting, it just gives you a game system. So that's why I like Savage Worlds. We're going to adapt it using, for instance, an M1 Garand, which has a 24-inch range, 48-inch, or 96-inch range. That's the actual range in inches on tabletop, by the way. And 2d8 damage, for instance. So we're going to build a character using Savage Worlds. There's a couple basic things. Like, they give you a certain amount of points to build your character in terms of their skills and their attributes. That's sort of like kind of like your dexterity and whatnot, or your, I guess, what would it be? Athletics? Because, you know, dex is a link to athletics in D&D, if I'm not wrong. They give you points for that. Then they give you option to take hindrances, which we definitely will, because it adds for great role play. Then that gives you a little extra points to add some edges, which edges could be like, you're really good and you're really fast in combat, so you can, if your card from the initiative cards that we draw, if it's too low, you can draw another card or something. So they're just basic shit like that, like abilities, if you will. And then we're going to pick some gear, which we have another World War II supplement we're going to use. But essentially, we're just going to be a basic dude with some basic infantry kit. We're going to pick some hindrances that we think that this person may have that could be related to military, could not, right? And then we're going to pick like some edges, what we think that this guy might be good at. So, sounds kind of like my mashup. Sounds like my kind of mashup. There you go, hell yeah. So the end goal is K47 RP narrative play. Well, we do like narrative battle reports. The idea is we're going to do K47 role playing. So like, it's going to be like, you know, playing D&D or whatnot, but we don't have a K47 tabletop role-playing game like Wrath and Glory for Warhammer, for instance. So we're picking a game system, and we're going to be using K47 as the setting, is what we're doing. Okay, so and that's that, and I'll show you here. This is my little folder that we got. Back in the day, there was a system called Alternity, which was great for anything from Old West to Future. Yeah, there's a ton of different systems, I will say. There's, oh my god, there's a couple of them that everybody talks about. Like, all the old heads played these before D. There's a bunch of cool systems that you can use for, like, any game. But some of the other stuff we're using is Mythic GM, which is... If you guys don't know Mythic GM, it's the Game Master emulator, 2nd edition. Really simple idea behind it. I won't get into everything. We're going to be rolling a D100, okay? A single digit and a double digit D10s. We're going to say, okay, what's the likelihood of a Shrekwolfen being behind... What's the likelihood that it's a Shrekwolfen breaking down this door right now? Is this a Shrekwolfen breaking down this door? And from the sounds and noises we've heard so far and the things that we've rolled up, we're like, okay, this is very likely. It also has a chaos factor, and this kind of just represents how fucked up things are at the current moment, and it'll change the way your game is. So when things are slow, it kind of makes things crazy. It's like your game master saying, all right, you guys have just sat around in town for 2 sessions because you guys want to try and min-max buying stuff. Well, now the town's getting attacked by dragons, so get fucked. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. But a very likely odd of a Shrekwolfen breaking down the door on, we'll just say Chaos Factor 5, would be a 75 and under. So we got to roll a D100. If it's 75 or under, that's the Game Master saying, yes, that's a Shrekwolfen. And if it is a 15 or under, that means it's a exceptional yes, which means, yeah, it's not only Schreckwolfen, but it's a 3-man Schreckwolfen squad, and the other 2 are trying to break down the windows now. So that's the kind of cool stuff that the Mythic emulator can do. It has meaning tables, actions, so if whenever we, like, I can just use my brain and say, yeah, I picture this old Russian building that Jerry has run into. I picture what it looks like, but if I want to get an idea of, like, maybe I don't know what it looks like. Maybe I want it to tell me. I can roll on a table, and it can give me locations. So we'll roll cute and spacious. So you're like, oh, it's actually like it's like an old babushka's house. I thought it was gonna be something like run down, or maybe like, you know, there's like strung up Soviet bodies from like weird Axis experiments, but no, it's like an old babushka's house, and it's in relatively nice shape, so we can like hide out for the night. So that's the idea. It's been a while since I've done this stuff, but after like reading up on the rules again, I was like, all right, I've ran a couple Savage Worlds campaigns. It's all coming back to me now, so. We got our adventure journal. This is all just like bookkeeping stuff for Mythic, and it allows you to track characters and scenes. Everything's broken down into scenes, kind of like a movie scene. But here's our main thing, our Savage Worlds player sheet. So we're going to build a character. I am going to grab a drink, because I need to grab another drink. I've been yapping away, so my throat's getting dry. It's funny, in 5th edition D&D, jumping was tied to strength, so an elephant can jump higher than a house cat. Yeah. I love some stuff about D&D, but some of it was, I don't know. I would always just, from somebody who never played any tabletop games, I was like, is that really how that works? But I also was just like a D&D basher, because I could not find any, it was like impossible. I'm like, I want to play other games. And everyone was like, no, we can just, how about this? Why don't we take that and make it D&D? And I'm like, no! So it was like very easy for me to be like, I hate Wizards of the Coast, because what they've done to Magic the Gathering, the way apparently what they've done to D&D, and it's very easy for me to be like, screw D&D, I'm playing everything else but it, because it's very easy for me to say that for Games Workshop, be like, fuck Warhammer and GW, I'm playing everything else. But I still like D&D, it is fun. But I was finding myself being a D&D hater. I'm like, I hate it! Just because it's the only, it's like I can't find anyone to play anything else. You know what I mean? Well, hey, thank you, Jenny Bratz. Appreciate it. By the way, we, real quick, we'll just look. I just wanted to say, I think we took a look, right? Or not? But absolutely fantastic job on the walker, by the way. Absolutely fantastic job on the street sign. I wanted to say before you left. I forgot to mention. Killer, killer. Thanks for handing out, though. Appreciate it. So we're going to play a mage? No. We're not playing... Oh, so are we going to play mage? That's another game system. Yeah, Rev was like, here, you should check this game out. It's called Mage. It looked like a freaking college textbook. The thing was so thick. I was like, you can learn that system, buddy. I've been using, working on the same kind of stuff, but using the Traveler system. Savage Worlds looks cool, though. I haven't heard of it before this. You know what? It's such an awesome game, and it has, like, a cult following with the players, but it just doesn't get any love. They don't, like, advertise it or anything like that. So, like, anytime, like, someone like me, myself, and Die, I would have never found out if it wasn't for him. You know what I mean? So, but there's a lot of game systems like this that are very open-ended. You know what I mean? In terms of, like, you pick the setting, we give you the system to play with. But you can just do whatever you want. And I will say, the really cool thing about Savage Worlds, you can run a campaign, and if you just figure out how this narratively works, you can literally have every single narrative, or every single campaign setting you've ever wanted in one, like, mega campaign. And you don't need 15 million books or whatever. It's literally, you got your one little Savage Worlds book, and you just use your common sense, and you can literally do anything. It's so cool. That being said, I have a ton of supplements for it. I have the fantasy supplement, the science fiction supplement, the horror supplement. I have the pirate version of the game. Someone made a version of the game for apocalyptic scenarios, and then I just bought the World War II stuff. But it's all fairly cheap, so it's nice. Like this would be like $800 in Wizards of the Coast D&D books, but it was like 100-something bucks for everything, you know. I left the Wizards of the Coast ecosystem after they released the Spelljammer books and all the Universe Beyond. Yeah, we kind of got into it around Kamigawa, Neo, and Dynasty. We played for a couple years, Commander and all that. And it's funny, even us coming in really late into the game, just in that short amount of time, the game changed so much. You know what I mean? And now if I don't play it quite regularly, I have no idea what's going on. Like, I don't think I can even go play Commander anymore. Because I remember they had, like, Doctor Who and all that. And the board state was just so weird, I remember. I was like, I have no idea what's going on. There's all these new mechanics, right? And it was fine, because there was, like, a certain amount of keywords. Now there's so many keywords in Magic, dude. And so many mechanics that are, like, subdivisions of other mechanics. That you'll have, like, Spider-Man fighting, like, a dragon, but he's also riding, like, a Jigglypuff or something. I don't know what the fuck's going on anymore. It's just too much. You know what I mean? That being said, I'll play The Hobbit. I like Draft. Draft is my favorite thing, but unfortunately they have priced me out of, like, playing Magic quite regularly, because you have to pay for Draft, so. I'll play some Draft on Arena, because I have gems left, but I'm kind of over spending any sort of money on Magic whatsoever, you know what I mean? So. Oh, my mouse keeps, like... There we go. I had to charge my mouse. All right, chat, I'm going to run and grab a drink real quick, and then we're going to build this character. You start out with, like, a certain amount of... Let me open up the page. You start out with a certain amount of, like, points you can spend to build your character, and we're just going to go through... There is, like, a pre-built soldier character. We'll kind of take a look at what they recommend. But what I need your guys' help for, and think about this right now. This is going to be a regular U.S. Soldier, just like a basic rifleman. But he's going to go on probably one of the craziest journeys that a basic soldierman or rifleman can go on. Because most of the time I would assume they'd probably just die. But this guy, because he's a character in our TTRPG, he's probably going to live, hopefully, and do some wild stuff. So think of, like, the backstory, and I'm obviously doing this stuff too, but I want your guys' input as well. So think of the guy's name too. Start thinking of a cool name we'll have to figure out. And I usually name my characters or somebody like Jerry. I love Jerry because I've yelled at the imaginary bartender on my stream Jerry for years. So I love just, it's just a classic name. But we can do anything. And what do you call it? Yeah. Just start thinking about who this guy is, or what you would like to see. You know, what you'd like to see in the character, I'll say. So, yeah, Magic's still great, and you could still just play old school Magic. There's like, you know, you could just say, hey, we're playing Magic, but let's just play. Like if me and Rev played with our Commander decks that we built however many years ago, it'd kind of be like a time capsule. You know what I mean? To that time. Right? So you can still do that. But, and I do love Magic, but, yeah, I don't know. I ain't giving Wizards of the Coast any money. Jerry Dawson. Alright, well, you keep that in the, think about it, alright? Chat, I'll be back in just a second here, okay? We'll throw up the slideshow for you guys. That stupid mouse, dude. It's like... And we got some tunes. I'm gonna go run and grab a drink real quick, and when I get back, we'll ban out this character and see who we end up with. Jerry Dawson, Jerry Flossin, Jerry Rawson. I don't know. We'll figure it out. All right, I'll be back in a second, chat. Appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out.